Hallo Leute, wie geht's euch? Ich hoffe, alles läuft ganz gut bei euch. Hold on, that's German. Let's go again. Hello guys, welcome back. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I am doing fine, and just in case you're passing by and you're just seeing me for the first time, welcome to the channel. My name is Lucinda. I am a medical doctor in internal medicine practicing here in Germany. So today we'll be doing things a little bit differently. Usually we end with a question, but today we'll be starting with a question, and today we are going to be doing a little bit of German and English, switching between both. Cool? Alright, let's jump into it. Today's question is from Instagram, and this person says, as someone who is practicing in Germany, do you think it's a good place for people of color to practice? So I know if I should work towards it from now. Alright, before I answer this, let me share a few stories with you, so stay with me. I remember my first day as an intern. So before I started working, before I got into residency, I did a few months of internship. I was assigned to this very nice doctor, and he takes me with him, he shows me stuff, and then he shares a story with me. He says he was on call a few days ago, and at about 6 p.m. he had a patient who was in the emergency unit waiting to see a doctor, and then he comes in, he introduces himself, and before he gets into why the patient was there, the patient stops him and says, I want a German doctor. And he tells the patient, I'm on call. There is no German doctor available right now, except you want to wait for handover time when a German doctor would be present. And he's like, yeah, sure, I would wait. The doctor comes out, tells the nurses, oh, this is what the patient wants. He would wait until the next German doctor comes. After 1, 2, 3 hours, the patient is getting impatient. So he goes to the nurses, and then he's like, when is the handover time? I'm waiting to see a German doctor. He was still bold enough to repeat what he had said. The nurses told him the handover time is at 8 a.m. He's like, what? 8 a.m. tomorrow? And they were like, yeah. He hesitated for a second, and then he's like, okay, I would see the previous doctor. So I asked him, what did you do? Because at this point, I really wanted to know how he handled the situation. So he said he didn't see the patient. He told the patient, you can go to a new hospital or a neighboring hospital, or you can wait as requested, because he explains to me that if he treated the patient, let's say he even gave the patient just isotonic solution. Some patients, because they already have a preconceived notion, or they already have a mental conditioning, the mind is a powerful tool. He could say, oh, after this medication you administered, I can't feel my legs, I'm dying. Or let's even say an honest mistake happened. It would be that you were trying to kill them intentionally because they had said they wanted a different doctor. So he told me, if you ever, I'm not saying you're going to encounter any of these weird patients, but if you ever encounter a patient who says, I want a different doctor, or I do not want your care, he said, please hand the patient over to another doctor so you don't put yourself in trouble. When he said that, it made so much sense. I didn't know if that was what I should be hearing on my first date, in all honesty, but I am so glad he told me that and he shared that experience, because fast forward to 1 year later, or a little over 1 year, I'm in a different hospital. I am now a resident. I start working, and then I encountered a patient. I remember vividly, it was a Friday afternoon, and we all know how Fridays can be at the hospital. All of a sudden, patients start declining in their health, and this patient was not my patient. She was my colleague's patient. But that Friday, all of a sudden, she was declining in her health. She just was in a bad condition. So she had no business being in the normal ward. We had to take her to the ICU unit. So while my colleague was calling the ICU unit, trying to talk to the doctor and trying to arrange for her to be transferred immediately to the ICU unit. I stepped in with the nurses, administering medications, just trying to stabilize her a bit before taking her to the ICU unit. I remember I was there, I was working with my hands, but mentally, as I would always do when I'm confronted with an emergency, I would always just pray and intercede, because there's only so much doctors can do. All of that is done. We transfer her to the ICU unit, and then the next week she's way better, and then she gets transferred back to the ward. This time she lands in a room that is now mine. Like, I am now in charge of the room, so now she's my patient, no more my colleague's patient. And I remember that week we had a new colleague who had just started, and she was with me that day, and I told her that there's a patient who came from the intensive care unit. She has a central line. We need to control her. I think the ICU unit had made a note to please control one of her labs. I can't remember exactly what it is. And I told her that, oh, at so time I would have to go to her. So if you want to come, I could show you how to, do the central line, blood taking and all of that. So she was happy, and I'm like, okay, we had a deal. So when it was time, she came with me. We went into the room, and I'm just like, hello, Frau so and so. I don't think I still remember her name, but I greeted her nicely. She was seated with her husband, and I introduced myself. I was greeted back with so much hostility. So she goes, "Jetzt kennen Sie meinen Namen?" And I'm just like, was meinen Sie damit? I was shocked. I thought she was cracking a joke that I didn't understand. So basically, I called her by her name, as I would always do. And she's like, oh, now you know my name? And I'm like, what do you mean? And then she repeats herself. Ich habe gefragt, jetzt kennen Sie meinen Namen, oder? And then I responded in the same way I had responded. Was meinen Sie damit? Ich verstehe das nicht. I told her, I don't understand. What do you mean? And then she goes, letzte Freitag, Sie waren hier und Sie haben nur gelacht. Sie machen nichts. Sie stehen dort und Sie haben nur gelacht. I was shocked. So she said, I'm going to translate. I said we'll be doing German and English today. So she said, last Friday, you were just standing here and laughing at me, making fun of me. And I'm just like, wie bitte? Entschuldigung, wie bitte? What are you saying? Excuse me? I was sprachlos. So she's like, ja, Sie haben die gleiche Haare und Frisur gehabt. Also, ich kenne Sie. So she says I had the same hairstyle. She remembers me. So at this point, I remembered what I learned on my first day as an intern. And in that moment, I said back to her, da Sie das gesagt haben, darf ich Sie leider nicht mehr weiter behandeln. Ich werde Sie an meinen Kollegen übergeben. And then she says, ja, machen wir so. So I told her, now you've said all of this, unfortunately, I can't continue to take care of you. I can't be your doctor. I'm going to hand you over to my colleague. And she's like, yeah, let's do that. I walked out of the room. I was completely shocked. And to make matters worse, when I was asking, wie bitte, what is she saying? The husband, who wasn't even there on Friday, said it's true. And I'm just like, it's true what? So he said, yeah, she mentioned that there was a doctor standing here and laughing. And yeah, so it's true. So at this point, I'm just like, so I stepped out of the room. Of course, my colleague, she was shocked. I heard her tell the patient, also, das kann nicht sein. So she was basically telling the patient that it's impossible. In my mind, I'm just like, let it go, come, let's keep moving. So I came out, I was so shocked that I didn't even know when I started crying. And then the nurses were perplexed, what happened? So I told them what had happened. And the nurses were like, she was almost close to being reanimated. She was barely conscious. When did she have the time to notice your hair, your look? I guess I probably would never know. They all flipped out. They went to confront her. They told her, das geht nicht. You can say that about certain doctors. Maybe would say, oh, okay, is it possible? But not her. Like, I was so shocked at the circle of love that was formed around me. And not a single person questioned if that happened or not. Anyone who heard it said, impossible. I don't know what her plan was, but it all went to dust. And I was really grateful. As usual, when I have pleasant or unpleasant situations or experiences, I do not let it go to waste. I always go back and sit down and say, okay, what was the lesson in this, or what can I learn from this experience? First, it was the fact that nobody was going to make me cry in that manner. So that day, a layer of thick skin was formed. And it was also the fact that I will not be able to control people's perception or what people think I did or did not do, but I can control how I react and how I let it affect me. I give a lot of benefits of doubt. So when someone behaves in a certain manner, I just say, oh, okay, maybe you're having a bad day, or maybe you're just overwhelmed by whatever you're going through currently. So that way, I think a lot of things fly over my head that I do not take in. I've also had colleagues who have had verbal discrimination. You go into a room to do your morning rounds, and then the patient, without shame, in the front of other patients says, I don't want you, I want a German doctor, get me a different doctor. I'm just like, what is the meaning of this? That case was reported to the chief, and he came straight to the station and he gave the patient the warning of his life, like, we do not discriminate here, we do not do such things here. If you do not want to be treated, then please leave, go to a different hospital. At the end of the day, there is always this shame, and they just feel ashamed of themselves. And in all honesty, I have had more positive and good experiences than I have had negative experiences. Like, I can count the negative experiences after so many years. I said all this to say people would be people. It doesn't matter in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in America, people would always be people. Wherever you go, you'd find the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's just how life is. So you would never be able to control how people perceive you. There are certain people who are very myopic. They feel there's a certain way a doctor should look and you do not fit. So before you even say a word, they've already cancelled you out, or before you say a word, they've already discriminated against you. You can't go around looking for just the good people. You would encounter people regardless of your location. So if a patient comes and they do not want care from you because of how you look, it's completely their loss. You have nothing to lose. You move on to those who want your care and you leave the other ones behind. Focus on doing your work and let your character speak for itself. Continue to grow, continue to be the best version of yourself, and the world will adjust to that. If you have watched till this point and you haven't subscribed, I am beefing you. So please do well to subscribe. I mean, I'm not beefing you, but please do well to subscribe. And as usual, pass auf dich auf und wir sehen uns bald. Ciao.